Combat Theory presents.
All right, what's up, guys? We're doing a special bonus episode that should be posting today, Friday, which I'm looking at is going to be September 22nd. And we've never done an episode like this before. I think it's going to be very, very exciting. I'm joined by a couple of people today. Obviously, I have my good friend and now, I guess, co-host of the show, Richard Grindle. Rich Grindle, what's up, man?
Not much. Excited for this bonus episode.
Bonus episode. We've never done one before. We'll see how it goes. And then I also have to my right, if you're watching at home, which might actually be on the left of the screen, is Angelene Leavitt. How you doing, Ange?
I'm doing good.
Is the mic? Do you need to pull the mic down a little bit, or are you comfortable there? Not that way. Nope.
Yep. Perfect.
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
You good? Okay. Maybe we'll cut that out. Maybe we won't. I don't know. We're not known for our professional podcasting. Okay. So what we are doing today, guys, Rich, we just did an episode that posted on Tuesday about judging, all things judging. And in that episode, we talked about how incredibly rare it is to get a draw. Mm-hmm. And then after we posted that episode, but, we recorded and then it was posted later, obviously, as that's how the internet works. The UFC Flyweight Championship with Valentina Shevchenko and Alexa Grasso. Is it Grasso? Grasso. I hate myself now.
We can say either one.
Just happened on Saturday, and it got a draw. A split draw specifically, which we can talk about, I guess, later if we want. So what we thought would be really fun is that the three of us are going to watch the fight together, and we're going to score it. So we're going to do a little bit of color commentary. So if you're watching at home, you can kind of watch it with us. It's free on ESPN Plus. If you have ESPN Plus, you can actually go right to the fight. They have a clip of it. And you can watch the fight with us if you're watching from home, and you can kind of listen to our color commentary. And then at the end of the entire fight, we're going to tell you our score. We're going to score it. We're going to keep it to ourselves round by round like any judges would. And I'm going to give some statistics, and then I think Rich is going to take it away. So Shevchenko has fought at least 89 times. Okay, now her record's one of those records where it's questionable because she's had, I think, about 20 or 30 MMA fights, but then she also fought kickboxing. She also fought professional boxing. She also fought MMA. She won a bunch of titles as an amateur, so as you know, that doesn't count towards your pro record. Never had a draw. Grasso, same deal. She has actually 20 MMA fights. She is a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I want to say, so she's competed in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but record-wise, she doesn't have any pro kickboxing or pro boxing that I'm aware of, or at least that's listed. They originally fought March 4th, 2023, and Grasso actually was able to beat Shevchenko with what they deemed to be a face crank submission at the end of the fourth round. And I think that covers all of the stuff that I want to say. Rich.
Yeah.
Let's talk about now. So we have a special guest today, Angelene. Ange, you like to go by Ange, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have Ange. Ange, have you ever seen a fight before?
No.
No. Have you ever seen a fight in real life?
Yeah.
Where at?
At Walmart.
At Walmart. Okay. This episode is not sponsored by Walmart or by Diet Coke.
But if they want to sponsor.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Walmart, you have the best fights.
Yeah.
So we have Ange, who is a less than Rich earlier described her as what?
Less than a casual.
Less than a casual fan, as Ange has never seen a fight before.
Don't take that offensively.
No. It's
that's a label we would use.
This is a scientific experiment. If less than a casual fan can score the fight based on the criteria, so Rich is going to explain the criteria and even how to score, because we've done none of that explanation yet for Ange.
Yeah, so again, if you listen to the previous episode, we spoke in depth about judging, but it was for kickboxing, Muay Thai, and MMA, and I encourage everyone to listen to the unified rules scoring criteria, which is what we use here in the U.S.
Okay.
So every sanctioning body in the whole country has to go by this criteria. It's 3 pieces, okay? So, Ange, I'm explaining it to you, but listeners, if you haven't heard this, you can find it online. So we go 3 criteria. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Hopefully, we're deciding by number 1. Number 2, we'll go to if we can't decide by number 1. And then number 3, we'll go to if we can't decide either one of those. We're not adding them up. We're going by the top first, then the second, then the third. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't, that's why we practice. So So I'm going to give you the number 1, the number 2, and number 3. It's going to be a little bit of rambling, so try to stay with me. If there's words we're using you don't understand, again, that takes a long time. So number 1 is effective striking / grappling. This means we want to score what we deem the most effective striking, that's punches, kicks, knees, and elbows, or the effective grappling, which is the ability to hold a position, whether it's on the ground, on the cage, how long you hold it, and what you do in that position. Okay? So, that being said, effective striking / grappling defined is legal blows that have immediate or cumulative impact with the potential to contribute towards the end of the match, with the immediate weighing in more heavily than the cumulative impact. Successful execution of takedowns, submission attempts, reversals, and the achievement of advantageous positions that produce immediate or cumulative impact with the potential to contribute to the end of the match, with the immediate weighing more heavily than the cumulative impact. That's a lot of words, right? We're halfway through the first criteria. The second part of this first criteria, effective striking / grappling. It shall be noted that a successful takedown is not merely a changing of position, but the establishment of an attack from the use of the takedown. Top and bottom position fighters are assessed more on the impact / effective result of their actions, more so than their positions. This criterion will be the deciding factor in a high majority of decisions when scoring a round. The next two criteria must be treated as a backup and only used when effective striking / grappling is 100% equal of the round.
Gotcha. So
Any questions on that?
Yeah. So like, does different like hits are there like a point system here?
So good question. So there's no like hierarchy of what is more valued than the other. We're looking for what has the most impact. The way they defined impact, if you give me a moment. So this is another, again, if you guys follow the unified rules, if you go to MMAreferee.com, you can find the unified rules scoring criteria. Impact basically is, I guess I'll read the whole thing. Is that fair?
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
Okay.
Let's not.
This is
hopefully
the most
our
important
viewers
thing
stay
we're
awake
looking
for the whole
for.
thing.
And in this fight, I believe there's a great deal of impact. I guess we should also note that Paul has not watched this fight yet.
I haven't seen the fight.
I also haven't seen it.
She's never watched a fight.
Never,
right?
yeah.
Ange never watched a professional MMA fight, especially of this caliber. And then I myself did watch this fight, but watched it as a fan. I wasn't really trying to judge.
Okay.
I might be the most biased one here.
I also had a big
Why?
meal before this.
You did have a big meal.
Yeah,
I
so-
got punched before I got here,
Oh,
which
nice,
is not
nice.
common. So this isn't like us being best judging, but we're going to do our best off of learning this criteria. So, impact, okay? The number one thing we're looking for in effective striking grappling, which is the first criteria we're going for, right? Impact. A judge shall assess if a fighter impacts their opponent significantly in the round, even though they may have not dominated the action. Impact includes visible evidence such as swelling and lacerations.
I got you. So like on Brawl, the little percentage at the bottom when you're hurting someone.
What is Brawl? Oh, you're talking about a Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So
I'm with
yeah,
you.
yeah.
in a way, but
Yeah.
instead of a bar we look at the person's body. Their
There's-
face, their
there'll
body.
be no
their
bar.
legs. Yeah. The bar is the blood or the swelling that comes from their cuts and such.
Got you.
Cool. All right, so impact includes visible evidence such as swelling and lacerations. Impact shall also be assessed when a fighter's actions using striking and or grappling lead to a diminishing of their opponent's energy, confidence, abilities, and spirit
How do you measure those things?
by watching. Yeah, so it's kind of subjective, right? Like we're watching it and we have to determine whether or not your actions
Are affecting my spirit.
or my energy or my confidence.
I think when you watch a
Also-
fight, you can kind of see in a fight where one person's definitely winning, you can see their confidence is building and the other person's confidence is decreasing.
We should be able to see
We'll
that.
see that.
throughout
We'll
this
see that.
event.
I haven't seen the fight, so I have no
Yeah.
idea.
All of these come as a direct result of impact. When a fighter is impacted with strikes by lack of control and or ability, this can create defining moments in the round and shall be assessed with great value. So we're looking for things, strikes and or grappling that physically changes the person's body or how they're acting.
Gosh, you.
Is this a bad? I should probably mention that Ange has an aversion to blood.
Oh, I don't think this is a bloody one.
No,
I don't think we
well,
get
all
bloody
right,
in this
all right,
one.
All right.
Yeah, so we get lucky there. Now, I want to point out there's two other parts of the first scoring criteria.
Okay, all right.
I'm not going to read them entirely, but I will note them. All right, so we have impact. The next part is dominance, and then the part after that is duration.
Okay.
Okay, so basically meaning impact is the physical changes we can see in a person's well-being, whether
Spirit.
it's physically or how they're acting.
Yep.
Okay.
Blood, broken bones, birdies.
Birdies, yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
Birdies is good.
yeah.
Dang, that might be a call I use in the
Birdies.
corner
Yeah.
now.
Oh, he's seeing bird. Yeah, they used to say this thing about being on a certain street
Mm-hmm.
that they don't say anymore.
What kind of
Okay,
street?
You know what I'm talking about here?
Yeah, I hear
And they
you.
haven't found a way to replace that.
Birdies might be it.
It might be like he's seeing birdies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good job, Ange. This is why, for those who heard Ange has never watched a fight, we shouldn't listen to her. I always go with new students have the best takes on things. 'Cause
Well, she
they're
has no
learning in the
bias.
first
She's got
minute.
no
Yeah,
bias whatsoever.
exactly.
She doesn't care.
She's an
She has
empty
no
bottle.
bias on
Yeah.
striking versus grappling. She's got no bias on either of their camps.
100%.
She's never seen either of them fight before, so she doesn't really care.
Yep.
No bias here. We're telling her the rules and seeing if an average person can judge.
Yeah, when you asked if this is a good idea, I said, absolutely. I think this is a better idea than getting some guy who's wrestled his whole life or another person
Yeah.
who's a black belt
You know,
jiu-jitsu.
or someone that's trained with either of them or had
Sure.
someone fight against either of them. Sure.
So, again, impact, right? That's what we're looking for. That's number one. Then we go to dominance. And basically what that just states is dominance in striking is I'm just landing with a lot of force or I'm landing a lot. I want to give the higher value to the harder force. And then if there's not a decisive on that, then I go to who's essentially scoring more. Also, on the flip side of that, in the grappling area, dominance in the grappling phase can be seen by the fighters taking dominant positions in the fight and utilizing those positions to attempt fight-ending submissions or attacks. Again, you're not going to be very well versed in what positions mean what, but you're going to kind of see how long they can keep a position there. That's going to be duration, and then dominance is how much they can do in those positions. But first and foremost is impact. That's where we probably will spend most of the time watching this fight, deciding on it, the impact of the fighters. Now, if we can make a decision on effective striking and grappling alone, that's what we're looking to do.
Yes.
But if we find it 100% equal, then we're going to look at the next one, which is effective aggressiveness. This is scoring criteria number 2. So, effective aggressiveness, these are much easier to explain. Aggressively making attempts to finish the fight. The key term is effective. Chasing after an opponent with no effective result or impact should not render in the judge's assessments. Effective aggressiveness is only to be assessed if effective striking/grappling is 100% equal for both competitors.
Okay.
Again, as I stated before, we are not adding these together. I'm not adding the effective aggressiveness plus the effective striking and grappling. If it's equal effective striking and grappling, then I'm looking at effective aggressiveness. Just stating that. Fight area control, the third criteria. Fighting area control is assessed by determining who is dictating the pace, place, and position of the match. Fighting area control shall only be assessed if effective striking, grappling, and effective aggressiveness is 100% equal for both competitors. This will be assessed very rarely. And they state that because we should not be deciding this fight off of fight area control or octagon control. Any questions, Ange?
Not really. I mean, I can see how it would be really hard to actually have a draw.
Yeah. So the way a draw can come up in a bunch of different ways. The way a draw came up in this fight, and we can probably discuss that more when we give our scores, but a way a draw came up in this fight was one judge gave it to one fighter, another judge gave it to another fighter, and then one judge said draw. He thought the fight was equal based on how he scored the fight, which is the most rare draws, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And as you stated, neither fighter has seen a draw in their career.
Yeah.
As a fighter and as a corner, you're kind of judging the fight while you're there. So we'll see probably throughout the fighters and the coaches kind of figuring out where they're at in the match.
Yeah.
Am I up? Am I down? So
All right. So any questions? Do you have any questions? Okay. Last thing.
Yes.
I wrote this down for you.
Yes.
If you thought the round was even, you have red corner and you have blue corner. Okay. The way that you can tell is see how Grasso on the left there has got red tape on her gloves,
Yeah.
and Shevchenko over there in all white has blue tape on her gloves. Harder to see right now.
Okay.
Okay, so after the round, you're going to score it, okay? And you have 4 ways that you can score it. If you think they are exactly even, you're going to put 10 for red, 10 for blue. Make sense?
Yeah.
If you think that one of them was above, but not significantly above, you're going to give 10 points to one round and 9 to the other corner. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That would be the most common thing you're going to do is called the 10-9 round. If you think that the one person really significantly beat the other person, you would then go to what's called a 10-8 round. I put major advantage. And then if you think that they really were ahead, you'd go 10-7, which would be a massive advantage. To the point that you're survived it, the other person survived the round. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions about this?
Got you. So there's 5 rounds.
5 rounds. R1, R2,
How
R3,
long
R4,
are the
R5.
rounds?
5
5
minutes.
minutes. This is a 25-minute fight, so we're buckle up.
We're cooking.
We're cooking.
Yeah. And we're going to talk whatever we want about the fight during the fight, but you can't tell us what you give a score. And then once you give your score, just flip it over so we don't see it.
Now, last question. How do they decide who sponsors these things?
Whoever pays the most amount of money.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do a countdown. So if you're watching at home, you can watch along with us. And we are going to get ready to start the fight. Everybody ready here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we are hitting play right now. Fight. So I'm going to count down for you. That is 456, 455, 454, 453, 451, 450. All right. We're watching round 1.
So yeah, we're beginning of a fight. It's usually not a lot of action, but we already have 3 clean strikes on Shevchenko's side.
That was clean. That was a clean cross.
What do they call their outfits?
Fight kits.
Fight kits.
Yeah, like soccer, like a fight kit.
The white one's so unfortunate.
Okay, you're not a fan of Shevchenko's outfit there?
Yeah, no.
Rich, you're not a Shevchenko fan, right?
I love Shevchenko. Why would you think I'm not a fan?
Who are you? Are you? Is that the reason it's hard for you to make a clear choice?
No.
You just way ahead on her?
I don't know what you mean.
I mean, do you have a bias for either of them?
No, I have a bias only in the sense that I watched the fight already.
Oh, okay.
So
all
like
right,
I
cool.
might change my opinion on who I thought
okay.
won. Now that we're kind of analyzing it differently.
So this fight was fought on Mexican Independence Day. You were telling me?
Yeah. So so again, the fight ended in a split draw. So Shevchenko pointed out that she felt the judges felt pressured to give Grasso rounds because of the hype they built around this Mexican Independence Day, and that Grasso got a special belt made for her for being from Mexico.
Interesting.
Which
It's all possible. It's all possible.
We're all human, and the judges, I think the judge in question was Mike Bell, and he's got a history of bad decision making. So maybe that's influenced him, or maybe he's just a bad judge.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely. Now, FYI, normally judges should not be having conversations, but if you guys are going to sit here with us for 25 minutes, we decided that we would have some conversation throughout.
So again, the big thing we're looking for, Ange, is impact. So, the amount of strikes should not matter. It should be the amount of strikes or grappling that really wears out or damages the opponent. Now, if you guys remember, as I read the thing, we never heard the word damage. I want to point that out. But we're probably, if you're listening with the commentators, they're probably going to say damage a lot throughout this fight. That is a product of striking, but we're not looking just for striking. We're looking for impact.
Ooh, that was clean. Guys, if you were following along, we are at 212, 211, 210, 209, 208, round 1. Does it?
I
DC just saying that Alexa's jab is doing more damage. I don't know that I see that. But that we got to talk about something, so I understand
Alexa
it.
is in black.
Yes, she is.
red corner Alexa in black.
Now, the rumor is, or not the rumor, I guess, but at some point during this fight, Valentina breaks her thumb, which is the most common injury that MMA fighters have during fights. Is not most common break, I should say, is the thumb break. I don't know which hand it is. I could probably look that up, but she does break her thumb, which is now going to require surgery. So obviously, one of the things that Shevchenko, I bet you was right there.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, she broke her thumb at some point. I bet she was right there. Sometimes when people do those double underhook takedowns and they land on their hand,
yeah,
that's a violent hand land.
Oh yeah, I broke a not grappling, but playing rugby. I tackled someone and it was from them landing on top of my hand.
I mean,
Very
okay, Valentina got the takedown there.
Mhm.
She's on top. She's in mount.
Yep.
She's going to back she's got back.
Yeah. So again, these are all really great positions, right? But how do you score when positions are not what is being looked at when it's impact? Positions is just a momentary thing. What she did in those positions is what we should be looking at.
Fair. So maybe, okay.
Now, not to say the grappling did not impact the fight, right? It didn't. It may have impacted the opponent. We have to determine that.
It looks like they're like barely touching each other.
You're talking around the mic. You have to talk into the mic.
It looks like they're barely touching each other with the knees.
Yeah, but they're using light knees, right? So they can keep position. They're not hitting super hard because if they go super hard, they might lose where they're at.
Okay, so now we have to score the round. We're not going to say what we scored the round.
So remember, we're looking for scores of 10-9, 10-8, or 10-7.
Or even 10-10. 10-10 if you thought it was a draw.
If that's how you feel. So as a judge, you get 1 minute to score this. And typically what they would do is as a pro, you're going to have one card per round. So I'm going to score round one, and then someone's going to come and collect that card from me. So I don't get more than maybe 20, 30 seconds to write down my score and circle who I thought won the round. Round by round, they're going to collect my scorecard.
And if you want to put like additionally on your card, why you gave it that round, or we can explain it later. Yeah. That's fine too.
Yeah, I'm making little notes.
All right, so we're starting off on the round 2, and I'll give you a count: 456, 455, 454, 453, 452, 451, 450. So let's look to see if Shevchenko's thumb seems to be impaired, or if she's not throwing it. I mean, obviously she's taped and gauzed into her gloves.
I'm gonna be honest. I wish you didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
Because now I'm gonna be looking for that as opposed to just like.
Well, I'm curious because I hate to say this because I wonder how much of that is an excuse. Versus how much of that is just legitimately she was affected because her thumb was broken. Yeah. But maybe she doesn't even know her thumb is broken. But for her to say, "Yeah, I broke my thumb in the first," that would say to me that she knew after the first that her thumb was broken.
Yeah.
The one thing I do not like about these when they have the commercial break is you don't see what's going on in the corner. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, as a judge, that doesn't matter. But as a fan, as a coach,
yeah,
I'm curious to see if they were discussing her thumb in the corner.
And I guess we should explain that. As a judge, like I said, you have that minute break in between rounds to write out your score, and you have to hand it in. I don't get much. The round's over, so I don't get much time, so I can't really watch them in the corner. And we're not really supposed to either. We're not.
Ooh. Was that a slip, you think?
It looked like a clean knockdown.
Clean knockdown.
Yeah, it looked like a right hook.
Interesting.
Caught her as she was backing
Interesting.
Out. So, as we've seen it, we can all agree that was the most significant thing that's happened this fight.
This round, for sure, yeah.
Well, this round, for sure. Second round.
You could make an argument about whether or not the takedown in the first
is all clean scoring.
Yeah, this is all clean. I'm thinking right now this might not continue. Wow, she took a little beating there.
Yeah, there was a solid.
Yeah,
10 to 12.
Yeah.
Knees, elbows, and punches.
That was
Well timed takedown.
well timed. Listen, say what you want about Shevchenko, but she has been in the game a very long time.
Absolutely. Now, we're not, this is a stalemate. Neither person is really doing anything that can impact the fight that would lead to a finish, right? If you know jiu-jitsu, you know Grasso can't really do much with double overhooks on both arms.
Yeah, the head in.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. And, again, maybe these grappling exchanges may affect one person's confidence / spirit / energy. But,
And her head's
time will
out now.
tell.
And if you're watching from home, we are at 213, 212, 211, 210.
And again, we just got blessed with a small screen replay at the bottom left of the knockdown. Judges do not get that. And as Paul alluded to when he was watching it live, he said, was that a slip? Now, a judge, depending on where they're sitting, may have read that as a slip.
She got up so quickly.
Yeah.
She rolled through it.
She rolled with it. It could have been a slip.
If this was Muay Thai or kickboxing, would you have given an 8 on that?
It would, if the ref called it, which I think if it was Muay Thai or kickboxing, a ref probably would have called that if he had.
You would have called that an 8 count?
He would have called that a knockdown. So
That's what I'm saying. Would you have given that an 8 count?
Yeah, that's an 8. That's a knockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where MMA becomes unique.
Mm-hmm.
In the fact that in Muay Thai or kickboxing, that would have been a mandatory 8. That axe kick would have been pretty if it landed.
Yeah.
It couldn't go to the head though. It could only go to the body. So I'm not
Correct.
really exactly sure.
Yeah, it's a tough weapon to target.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
I think it's a great way to set up a pass, but you don't often see that.
I'm surprised that Grasso or that Shevchenko didn't let Grasso stand back up.
Yeah, but again, she got dropped, right? So she may have felt like she was winning the exchanges on the feet up until that knockdown. But again, if you're paying attention, even though Shevchenko's on top, even though she's finding herself to be punching every so often, she hasn't really done much to slow Grasso down. Now, to the point, I've had some people argue, if a fighter's on their back and they have opportunities to stand up, do you score that against them? Because they have the opportunity to get out of there. Why don't they get out of there? Are they impacted? Not to confuse. But that's the choices you have to make.
Yeah, the first half of that versus the second half of that round was, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one to score, guys.
And I kind of want to bring up a point of the criteria, but I don't want to sway your judging. So score your score, and then I'll bring up a part of the criteria.
All right, flip your sheet over there. Yeah, there we go.
All right, so as we read, especially in the beginning part of the effective striking grappling, they want to favor the immediate as opposed to the cumulative. So meaning if something was close to finishing the fight that made immediate impact leading to the end of the fight, we want to score that higher than what would be viewed as like more duration or dominance. We want that big impact is what we're looking for. And again, we get this beautiful replay. Again, though, on a judge's...
I think that actually the more telling story is what occurred after that knockdown. Grasso goes into the corner and there's probably about 15 or 20 seconds in that round that Valentina is unanswered with her. She's getting beat up a little bit. Interesting. We'll see. Grasso was the underdog in this fight.
Yeah, which is believable just because Shevchenko was so dominant for so long.
As Ange pointed out, Shevchenko is the older fighter, 35 versus 30.
Isn't Alexa also a jiu-jitsu girly?
Yeah.
So
she has... if you were to describe her style, it's like boxing and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Because I feel like that'd be like one reason why she may have decided to stay on the ground
That's
so
a great
long.
point. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying is that she wasn't affected, but she just felt more comfortable down there and wanted to take the fight there probably.
Yeah.
Shevchenko is known for her striking, obviously. Wherein Grasso is, I think Grasso is probably known for being an MMA fighter, which is something that didn't really exist, a long time ago.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and Shevchenko's a lifelong martial artist. I don't know what age Grasso started at, but we've known Shevchenko to be doing it since, a young child.
But she went to college for ballet, I think, or some kind of Russian dance.
Interesting.
And then because she has a fine arts degree in dance. Interesting takedown attempt by Shevchenko.
And she's holding her down.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stand-up exchanges on the feet, they're kind of like one and done on both sides. They were throwing one strike, the other one maybe countered or waited, and earlier in the previous 2 rounds, they were kind of putting things together a little more. So there's a submission attempt.
Okay, so that is a legitimate submission attempt.
And if
right
I'm
there.
on this angle as a judge, I'm
very
definitely
tight.
counting that. If
That
I'm on
looks
the other side,
extremely
I
tight.
don't know 100%.
So Andrew, if you don't know, that looks like a fight-ending submission attempt. She's mounted. She has her hands look like they are locked. She is squeezing her carotid arteries on either side of her neck very tightly. That is a mounted guillotine.
Which is one of my favorite moves.
I mean, this is very hard to get out of, very tight. Now, you could just stand up.
It should be that easy.
Sorry, Ange, that's a inside fighter joke. That is a very tight choke. Nope, and it's
she
out.
gives up
It's out.
on it. Remains in a great position, though.
Goes the back. Now, obviously, that doesn't. She got a body triangle. That's tight.
So this is great, obviously, for Shevchenko having a less than stellar performance in the second round, just in that knockdown. But obviously, she finished well with the grappling attempts.
Interesting too, because she lost by submission in the first. So you think that she would
Avoid this.
but
Yeah.
she obviously seems very comfortable.
And that could just be very much like her training camp. Because she lost in the grappling.
They
she
knew
wanted,
that she'd spend a lot of time grappling.
So why not get good at it? It's not like Shevchenko historically has bad grappling.
Side note: she was Valentina Shevchenko was training at Smiley Academy in Jacksonville, Florida.
That's true.
We've been there.
And I know some of the fighters out of there traveled to Vegas to finish up her camp with her.
Valentina's got a very interesting kind of training thing where she essentially travels around and she doesn't really have a home gym. Although I know that she does claim Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand as her home gym. I see her post about Tiger a lot, but I've seen her training all over Florida.
Yeah.
So her and her coach and her sister, although I don't know if her sister was really involved in this camp. Is her sister still fighting?
Oh, I imagine. Yeah.
I know her sister.
I don't know if she's still signed with the UFC.
Her sister
or not,
just got her commercial pilot's license.
Congratulations.
Yeah, they were very excited about it.
Antonia?
Yeah, Antonia, I think. I should know that because I've actually trained with both of them.
Nice. So this is a pretty wicked position. The pressure that's on Grasso is surely uncomfortable.
Her ribs are probably
Yeah.
not feeling great there.
But she does do a nice way of reversing to get in top guard.
I'm interested if the submission
Armbar
attempt to set now two submission attempts, armbar attempt right at the end. God, oh, okay.
You can see why this is a controversial fight.
All right, let's score this and then let's talk about it real quickly.
Yeah, I'm scored.
All right, we're all scored.
Yeah.
How much, without giving it away, so in MMA, we've talked about this before, it's hard to determine what makes a 10-8 round. you could make an argument in this round that Valentina had 2 very impactful submission attempts. The mounted, guillotine that looked very significant. And then you have almost a locked up armbar that she's saved by the bell.
Yeah.
To me, that could have been a 10-8.
Now, again, I want to point out, if you're a ringside judge, which we are not, we get the best view possible.
Only one of those judges saw that.
Potentially. Maybe 2. Maybe one saw it from an angle and they thought it wasn't locked in. Same thing with the guillotine. They could probably misinterpret how tight that guillotine was.
Sure. All right, we are now in the 4th round. And I'm going to count down from 448, 447, 446, 445, 444, 443, 440. So, if you are watching from home, you're watching along with us. Once we started play, we haven't stopped it. So, Noche UFC. I like DC, but sometimes the stuff he says makes me think that he is.
Yeah, I'll give you my top 2, which is Bisping and Laura Sanko.
Sanko's very good.
Yeah, Sanko's very fun. She actually says more educational things, and she has a great way of incorporating scoring into her commentating.
Interesting.
But yeah, not to say I don't like DC. It's just not my favorite.
I feel like the story of this first round. Oh, never mind.
First round, you mean 4th round?
4th round, sorry. The first minute of the 4th round, my bad.
So if you guys talk about, like you were saying, this first minute, nothing's landed clean. It's 1-on-1. It's a lot to the air. If a whole round went this way, this is where you're looking at scoring it by fight area control. But because things are actually landing now we have to look at
I don't think that
effective striking.
so far in the first 3 rounds, you could make an argument that any of those rounds is a draw. Now we're seeing significant strike scores on the screen. Obviously, that's not something the judges would see.
I'm not even going to look at it.
I don't even know what it means.
This is important. So Shevchenko looked like she was arguing like as if she
was
not,
downed.
But in
She was not.
the rules, you'll see that it has to be weight bearing. You can't choose anymore to put your fingers down as they used to do in the past. Back in the day, you'd be able to post your hand, even just so your fingertips are touching, and they weren't allowed to knee you. But nowadays, if you're putting your hand down intentionally,
You're not a downed opponent.
You're not downed.
Beautiful,
Ooh.
beautiful slam. And Grasso, no. Grasso had a near submission attempt here, but I would not call that a submission attempt.
Right, yeah, she just had her back, and there's a moment of her thinking of it, right?
Yeah. She had the arm, but she wasn't fully set up, and they're both standing again. It is 156, 155, 154.
Little slaps to the face,
Means absolutely nothing, but maybe it demoralizes your opponent.
taking that spirit away.
And now Grasso is bleeding from the
Yeah.
left eye.
It looked like one of those right elbows Shevchenko broke off with. Gave her a nice little cut.
That would be impact.
That's a laceration, right? That's stated in the impact definition.
The
Again-
audience is behind Grasso, though.
Yeah. Again, this event was kind of built for Grasso, right?
Mexican Independence Day.
Special belt.
She's a Mexican champion. There was a special belt for her if she won.
Big upset to get the title.
But she was the underdog going in, so better is not necessarily. The bookies want Shevchenko to win.
Yeah. Big right hand.
I do not see any signs after 4 rounds that Valentina is hurt.
Yeah. Even after eating about 3 or 4 knees off that get up.
Yeah, or the thumb. I've seen nothing that
Ooh.
says to me a little bit. Yeah, Grasso is leaking a little bit there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Ange has an aversion to blood, and she is really enjoying this, aren't you, Ange?
For sure.
Does that mean you don't like blood? Okay.
Not a blood
Oh.
girly.
Rolling to what is that?
A heel hook?
Okay. And she does. All right, score. That's interesting, huh?
That he said that?
Yeah. Who was that?
John Anik.
John Anik.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, if you're watching at home, John Anik just said that the champion very much needs a finish if she wants to win this.
Yeah.
I don't know that she's behind right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's really how you view the fight. Again, as we stated before, where a judge is sitting is all they can determine where they're scoring. So maybe you saw those knees land, maybe you didn't. Maybe you saw that right punch land, maybe you didn't. It's really going to be the ringside judge making the call. Now, the people watching like us,
We're the start of the 5th round here.
we get really good view, and we get pretty much every piece of the action.
And let's see where we're at
So
here.
I think that's where we see a lot of fan debate.
I feel like the bleeding that Alexa had an impact on me, but not on her.
And that's round 5.
Okay.
458,
Interesting.
457, 456, 455. Last round.
Final round. And on some people's scorecards on the Twitter thing that pops up at the bottom left on this ESPN Plus app, it looked like some guys were splitting it 2-2. Some people had it 3 one way, some had it 3 the other. So this is obviously a close fight in a lot of people's eyes. And that's why
I think it's
we're
a
doing this
close. I don't think it's way ahead. Somebody just posted that Grasso should be approaching this round like she needs to finish.
But did you also read the one prior where it said Grasso's either up or Shevchenko's up?
Yeah.
Or 3-1 Val. So some see it 2-2 or 3-1. Very interesting, right?
Yeah.
And then Anik says Shevchenko probably needs to get a finish to win. So he's viewing it 3-1.
Yeah, but that's the
Grasso.
voice of the UFC.
That's the voice, right?
And they have to create a narrative, right?
Does her face hurt? Because it's killing me.
Probably adrenaline is making it not hurt as bad as it will in about an hour after the
Oh,
fight.
yeah. She's going to feel that later. Right now, she probably doesn't notice much. Bleeding off to the side,
It's probably
right?
numb, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Or it feels just like hot water on her face.
Yeah. Like sweat. She feels like she's sweating a lot. How much were they able to stop the bleeding after the
It
the
seemed
round?
pretty
It seemed
effectively.
good.
Yeah.
They're, I mean, they
Best
put a
in the
little
game.
little Vaseline, a little adrenaline in there, and now this is a controversial round. We'll talk about a little bit after the end when we score it.
I feel like Alexa looks more physically fucked up, but she looks more in the game at the same time. Shevchenko's starting to look eepy.
For those at home, that's a Gen Z version of the word sleepy.
Yeah,
Yeah, EP.
eepy.
EP. Two minutes left. 156, 155, 154, 153.
But I feel like it's kind of hard to tell the energy level of Alexa too because she's bigger. Like I feel like she just moves a little bit slower, but she's also bigger.
Right.
Is she bigger?
Same weight, but you can tell like she's built different.
I'm a terrible judge.
You think she looks thicker?
She
So
looks
this is
thick with
important.
a couple C's.
So what happened there?
That's a big yike.
So Valentina went for a throw and it failed, as they
And
often do.
she lost her. She got her back. She gave off to her back.
She gave her back, which is how Grasso finished Shevchenko in the first fight. Was Shevchenko threw a back kick and then she
Ooh.
hopped on her back. So
I mean, Valentina is not defending. She's covering, but she's not.
and now we have an attempt on a rear naked choke. Now again, our angle is not great. We can't see it under the chin. A judge may be able to see it under the chin,
If
or
there's
they
a
may
judge
not.
sitting there, but I don't
Imagine
know.
a judge on the far side of the ring, the
Yeah.
complete opposite.
And she's out of
Now
that.
she's
She's
out.
still got a Grasso still has a body triangle and has her back.
yeah. A little warning for the back of the head. I didn't see it land to the back, but
Yeah, I didn't either.
the ref's gonna have the best view of that.
Oof.
And it does look like Shevchenko's bleeding a little bit from the nose.
It is tough to tell, but yeah, it does seem.
That could just be. No, it looks like she's bleeding
Yeah,
a little bit
it's
from the
her blood.
nose.
And
Her
from
blood.
her mouth. The white was just such an unfortunate choice. And there's a hole in her pants and a very unfortunate
Is that a hole?
spot.
I saw that too.
It
I don't
was
know
a
if that's a
hole.
hole or
That was a hole.
Bit of a face crank attempt.
this is how she got her in the first with the face crank. And they run out of time. And they both get up very confident. Valentina very confident. Grasso does not maybe look as confident. Valentina looks very confident that she won. All right, let's score that.
I feel like this definitely changed from the first time I watched.
Really?
Yeah.
Man. Okay, so then you add up your two numbers. You add up all the numbers on one side and all the numbers on the other side. That's where you get your score. And I'm going to go to the calculator because I'm not known for my mathematics skills.
It's not our job as judges to actually do the tallying. Like I said, every round, someone will come by and pick up your scorecard, and that goes to a person, an official, who is keeping track.
Which for the at the pro level, right?
At the pro
At the
level, yeah.
amateur level, I definitely have used my calculator before.
Yeah, it's less strict, I would say, as an amateur judge.
All right. I have calculated the score.
This is fun. This is a fun one.
Okay, so I will. I'm first. What I'm going to say to you is I'm going to give you the official scores initially.
Okay.
So Sal D'Amato originally scored this fight 48-47 for Valentina Shevchenko. Any idea how to pronounce that guy's name?
Oh, yeah.
Into the mic.
I am going to butcher it, but I will do my best. Junichiro Kamijo.
Okay.
We're just going to try that one.
Scored that 48-47 Grasso. And Mike Bell, this was a controversial one, scored an actual draw 47-47 to cause a draw. So we have a split draw there where one went one side, one went the other side, and Mike Bell scored it. Do we want to do the ultimate score for everybody now, or do we want to do round by round? How do we want to do this?
I say we do ultimate score.
Okay. Rich Grindle, how do you score it?
Save me last.
Okay.
Yeah.
Angelene, Ange, how do you score it, Ange?
I did 46-46.
You
46,
scored
46.
46-46.
46-46.
Does that even math?
I didn't think so, actually.
I'm assuming there's 2 10-8 rounds in your score?
3.
3
Yeah.
10-8 rounds.
Three.
Okay.
So you scored it a real draw.
Yeah.
Wow.
Paul, where'd you go?
Okay. I scored 2 8-10 rounds there.
Okay.
And so I gave it 47-46 for Valentina Shevchenko.
Interesting.
Where do you got for me?
47-46. I have, and I feel like I really want to redo my mouth on this, but I have it 47-47.
Wow.
I have a draw as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So this, I want to point this out.
Interesting.
I want to point this out. How draws happen are close fights. That's first and foremost. You don't get a draw in a dominant fight. You get a draw from judges seeing small differences. What you see is what you score. Now, we all saw the same thing, right? Obviously, we're all at different levels of judging, and I'm not going to sit here and say my judge is the right.
You're saying you're right.
Like we're going off of my scorecard. No, just because I judge doesn't mean I actually judged it the best either. This is the issue with two things. This is the issue with judging, which is a lot of it is subjective.
Sure.
A lot of your experience plays into
You
what you see.
You have an unconscious bias and maybe a conscious bias at that point.
And then, secondly, and my issue is the round by round for MMA.
You've
spoke
said
about
this
it.
before,
Yeah,
yes.
I spoke on it on the judging episode. The global rules scoring scores an MMA fight as a whole. There's no 10-9 must. There's no 10-8. It's who do you think won
in totality?
Yeah.
All right. Rich, how did you score the first round?
I scored the first round 10-9 Shevchenko.
I did as well. Ange?
I said 9-10. So
10-9, yeah.
yeah, exactly what
For
what
who?
you guys said. For the in blue, the blue girl.
Grasso.
Blue girl had
No,
10.
Valentina Shevchenko is
Oh,
in blue.
blue gloves. I see.
Yeah.
I was thinking
Okay.
White Kid, but you're
I'm
right,
gonna just
you're
write
right.
their names.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Alexa was red.
So
and
we all scored Valentina the first round.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
and-
thought Valentina was gonna win after the first round.
Yeah. 10-9 for everybody there, right?
10-9.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Round
unanimous.
2, we go into the fight. Rich, how did you score round 2?
I scored round 2, 10-9 Grasso.
She has the knockdown.
So she had the knockdown, and she definitely scored a little bit afterwards. But there's like a tier to knockdowns. If you get into MMA reffing, and which I have not been trained on that, but I've been talked to.
Okay.
There's like a tier of knockdowns, and you would consider that a level 1 knockdown, meaning she got knocked to the floor, obviously, but she was facing her opponent. She caught herself. She was able to get to her feet immediately. She rolled through. So even though it is a knockdown, how significant it was, probably the least significant knockdown you can have.
I see. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give it 10-9 for Grasso because of the knockdown. And did you score it the same way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
10-9. And again, the half of the round ended with Shevchenko in positions that could have been dominant had she have scored more, but she didn't land enough.
Why she gets the 10-9 for me is that after that knockdown, she has like a level 1 knockdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Grasso proceeds to give her a bit of the beating, right?
Yeah.
She puts the hands on her. It's unanswered. Valentina comes out of it pretty strong, but there's a moment there where if as a referee, I might have started to look like, oh, am I going to call this?
Yeah.
So I'll give you that. I almost went to 10-8.
Right.
You know, if Valentina doesn't come out so strong for the second part of that round for me, she's headed towards this 10-8 round.
Yeah. I mean, she recovered really well.
Recovery's good.
And she showed that she was not trying to give up the fight. She was trying to take that round.
Our less than casual.
I
Ange,
gave it a 10-8.
You gave it a 10-8.
My soul left the chat.
Your soul left the chat. Okay. Why?
I don't know. It was just like I felt more anxiety for Valentina. Like the first round, I was like Valentina is winning a little bit. Like I could see that. The second round, I was like, I don't know if homie's gonna make it through at some point.
All right. Yeah, that's fair. We go into the third round, and as you guys remember, that seems to be, for me at least, a very dominant round for Valentina. She gets 2 submission attempts, so the very tight mounted guillotine attempt. She has what looks like an armbar attempt right at the end. She spends a vast majority of the round on top. How did you score that, Rich?
I scored that 10-8 for Shevchenko.
I did also score that at 10-8 for
Yeah.
Shevchenko. I thought she was very ahead
I
there.
also scored the same.
Did you?
I
Okay,
did.
very cool. Very cool. Okay, cool.
So very interesting, though, that we scored that, and all the judges the judges that mattered, they scored 10-9. Now,
Yeah.
this is where I think a big issue lies with
viewpoint.
judging ringside is it's hard to see.
Can't see.
So again, if you're on the far end of that guillotine attempt, you don't know how tight that is. You're just looking at butts essentially.
For the record, with the exception of one judge in one round, every judge scored this fight 10-9, one way or the other, except for one judge, one round. So we can talk about that a little bit at the end because there's some controversy there.
I think it'd be probably helpful afterwards, once we finish up talking our scores, discussing what a 10-8 in MMA based on the unified rules says.
Yeah, absolutely. Round 4, we see Valentina come out and after really a dominating round. How did you score that round for round 4?
Round 4, I gave it 10-9 Grasso.
Okay.
And that was in my opinion probably the closest round.
All right.
I had Shevchenko scoring on the feet. She had some great opportunities. I think Grasso probably just edged her out a little more.
Okay.
Close round.
Fair. Ange. Round 4.
I had 9-10 for
10-9.
Yeah, sure.
10-9 to who?
Valentina.
You gave Valentina that round. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually also gave Valentina that round 10-9.
Yeah.
That was a close
super
round.
Close round, yeah.
That was a close round. Did she cause the blood in that round?
Yeah, that was the round.
Yeah.
She caught her
So
with
I
the elbow.
think that elbow for me, there was a bit of bleeding there. That's impact.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that injuries around the eyes can be a big problem if that continues to build. Right. It's to the side of the eye, so it's not threatening the eye. But for me, that was a 10-9, and I think probably that elbow and the bleeding for me was like the highlight of that round for me as a judge.
So for me, obviously that was probably the biggest score for Shevchenko in that round.
Sure.
But what really scored for me were those knees that
the
Grasso
head to
was
the knees of
landing.
the head. Yeah.
She put on a lot more aggressiveness to be effective. Right. Now we're not going to effective aggressiveness unless we think it's even.
Yeah.
Right. And I do think it was pretty even. So I kind of leaned on the effective aggressiveness because she had more moments going for it as opposed to Shevchenko scored that elbow, and that was pretty much how I felt she only scored significantly.
Fair. So going into the 5th round, I have Valentina ahead, obviously. Ange has Valentina 30. What is 10, 9, and 8?
10, 9, and 8.
20. You have 28 for Valentina, and then what is this?
That's a 10.
No, what is that?
Oh. That is a 17-27. This is
28-27. So you have, okay. Not that matters much.
I was going to say, isn't this 5 rounds? How are we getting 28 out of here?
No, I'm saying, I was just trying to figure out where we're at.
No, I definitely had Valentina winning for, the first couple rounds.
Okay.
Overall.
And then, so we go into the 5th.
Mm-hmm.
The judges, or I should say DC, or the commentators maybe are making a case that Valentina is behind.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can make that case on paper.
Going into that 5th round, it's 1-1 on my scorecards.
For sure.
But we have Shevchenko with a 10-8 round.
Okay.
Right.
All right. And then we go into the 5th. How did you score the 5th round, Rich?
I scored it 10-9 Grasso.
Okay.
I really thought the last 2 minutes of that round where Shevchenko made the mistake to go to the throw, got her back taken, the dominance, the duration, and the potential fight-ending rear naked choke she went for. Now, again, depending on where you're sitting, you may view it differently. But I thought there was that one instance where, again, their belly down, Grasso's arm looked as if it could have been under the neck.
But it's hard to say.
Now, the face crank at the end of the round, not necessarily as tight as it could be. It wasn't like fight-ending looking, but it's the attempt, right? The attempt to finish, and we want to favor the immediate over the acute move. I thought up until that last 2 minutes, it was Shevchenko's round, but she didn't do anything significant to immediately look to finish the fight.
So I gave that round a 10-8. and I gave it around a 10-8 to Grasso, which, by the way, is all where all the controversy is because Mike Bell also gave it around a 10-8 to Grasso. So I guess we can talk more about that. Are you saying that you feel like Valentina did enough in the beginning of the round to make it a 10-9?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your argument is that Valentina was up 10-9 and that Grasso basically took a 2-point change, swinging it from a 10-9 her side.
Had the next 2 minutes played out the same as the first 3, that's a 10-9 for Shevchenko.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
That last 2 minutes, she gets her back taken, potential rear naked choke, multiple punches scored, which probably were more significant as we saw the bloody nose, the bloody mouth.
I think that's why, because of the impact of that, I think I gave it a 10-8.
Yeah. But again, I had Shevchenko up. She was scoring, but it's nothing to go to the finish.
I don't know if I'd say she was up to be in the round. I think it was very even. But, Ange, where did you score the round?
10-8 for Alexa winning.
Okay. All right. So we're with 10-8s there. Okay. All right. So, Rich, what is the criteria for a 10-8 round?
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I really feel like if there was one more round, I know that's not how this sport works, I think Alexa would have won the whole fight.
Okay. So, but really, I think what you're making a case for is that, we've talked about this before on the podcast, is that the UFC is round by round, wherein other organization called One Championship, you're judging the totality of the fight. You're not judging round by round. So you could make an argument and say, well, as this fight, as the further it goes, the more likely Grasso is to win, right? I mean, you could make that argument for sure. I don't know that she did enough early on. It's definitely not a clear.
Yeah.
I mean, we drew here differently, right?
Yeah. The upset, I don't think, is the fact that anyone was robbed. I think the upset is more so how the scoring played out and how people have differing opinions. And this is why round by round scoring.
That's why judging is also
difficult. And as we saw in those little Twitter boxes, as if those people's matters more than ours, or maybe they do, maybe they don't. But we saw guys who are literally saying it's 2-2 or it's 3-1. So they're not sure.
Yeah.
They get the same view we are. They're essentially judging just like we did. They're probably talking with their buddies. They're scoring it as they see it. They think their opinion matters the most because they're UFC fighters. So they're going to get their scores posted. And again, we saw a lot of conflicting scores on those experts.
I am very shocked that we scored it a draw here. Like, I really very much would have thought.
If you were to ask me before we did this, who did you score it when you watched it live? I thought Shevchenko won.
Really?
3-2. Yeah.
Really?
That's why I said I might be going into this a little biased.
And you went from that to a draw.
I went from Shevchenko being up 3-2. When I watched it, I didn't give anyone a 10-8 round when I watched it live.
Yeah.
I actually watched it with my girlfriend Keena, and she's like, "Would you give that a 10-8?" And I was like, probably not. But rewatching it, judging it, I felt like the submission attempts Shevchenko had in round 3, that's a 10-8. Again, am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know.
Do you think that it is? Do you kind of off subject, but still on the subject? Obviously Grasso is the champion. Mm-hmm. Valentina is the defender, right? Or is the challenger. That's the word I was looking for. Grasso keeps the belt. She retains the belt because she did not lose, right? She drew. Do you think that is fair?
Yeah. There's no winner.
There's no winner.
Right.
But she is considered still the champion.
She's still the champ.
I think that you can make an argument that after a draw fight, there needs to be a tournament to determine a vacancy in a tournament.
Yeah, I could see that, maybe. But again, that's where organizations kind of make their rules, right? So that has nothing to necessarily do with like what a commission would choose to do.
Do you feel like after 5 rounds, and not commission based, not whatever, that if you had a draw after 5 rounds, they should have fought one more?
So that's what's so fun about Glory Kickboxing, right?
Yeah.
They don't do draws. They do a sudden death round, which, in my opinion, is the coolest thing to ever experience. If you ever get to go to Glory, pray to the fight gods, you get to sudden death. Because it is dope when they're like, we're going to a sudden death. It's like very real.
All fights end in death. We just stop it before that.
I think yes. And also, again, I'm not a big fan of our scoring criteria for unified rules. I think, as I'm about to read the 10-8, I think you guys are going to probably agree with me that as they express what they feel a 10-8 round is, could be complicated, could be a little biased again and subjective to the person who's interpreting it.
All right. Do you have that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go for that. What is the criteria for a 10-8 round? Rich?
Buckle up, guys. It is much longer than Impact.
A lot of reading.
So, again, 10-9 round, to sum that up quickly, is someone has an advantage, but it's not so far to where you felt the fight was on its way of ending.
Sure.
Okay. So, 10-8 means a 10-8 round in MMA is where one fighter wins the round by a large margin. A 10-8 round in MMA is not the most common score a judge will render, but it is absolutely essential to the evolution of the sport and the fairness to the fighters that judges understand and effectively utilize the score of a 10-8. A score of 10-8 does not require a fighter to dominate their opponent for 5 minutes of a round. The score of 10-8 is utilized by the judge when the judge sees verifiable actions on the part of either fighter. Judges shall always give a score of 10-8 when the judge has established that one fighter has dominated the action of the round, had duration of the domination, and also impacted their opponent with either effective strikes or effective grappling maneuvers that have diminished the abilities of their opponent. I'm not halfway yet. Judges must consider giving the score of 10-8 when a fighter shows dominance in the round, even though no impactful scoring against the opponent was achieved. MMA is an offensive-based sport. No scoring is given for defensive maneuvers. Using smart, tactically sound defensive maneuvers allows the fighter to stay in the fight and to be competitive. Dominance of a round can be seen in striking when the losing fighter continuously attempts to defend, with no counters or reaction taken when no counters or reaction taken when opening to present themselves. All right, here we go. Dominance in the grappling phase can be seen by fighters taking dominant positions in the fight and utilizing those positions to attempt fight-ending submissions or attacks. If a fighter has little to no offensive output during a 5-minute round, it should be normal for the judge to consider awarding the losing fighter 8 points instead of 9. Judges must consider giving the score of 10-8 when a fighter impacts their opponent significantly in a round, even though they do not dominate the action. Effectiveness in striking or grappling, which leads to diminishing of a fighter's energy, confidence, abilities, and spirit. All of these come as a directed result of negative impact. When a fighter is hurt with strikes, showing a lack of control or ability, these can be defining moments in the fight. If a judge sees that a fighter has been significantly damaged in the round, the judge should consider the score of 10-8.
Do you feel confident in your 10-8 call?
Great question. So rereading that,
Yeah.
in the moment, right now, no.
Really?
Again, it's in the moment, right, when you're
Yeah.
watching the fight. Now, the view we had from that guillotine, I really felt like Homegirl was turning red, and she was not doing much to defend it.
That was in round 3, right?
Correct. That's the round I gave 10-8.
I also had a 10-8.
We all gave that round a 10-8 for
Yeah.
Valentina.
But again, she defended it, but she wasn't on her way out, and she was trying to get out. Now, the armbar, we only got about 5 or 6 seconds of an armbar, and it wasn't extended, so we can't really consider that fight ending, right? It was a good attempt.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now,
That's
again,
hard.
if we go global rules,
Yeah.
right, that guillotine may have been the closest to ending the fight of everything that happened in the fight. And that armbar is considered a submission attempt. If you look at their global rules scoring criteria, knockdowns and near submissions are their highest
I
scoring.
still feel confident giving her a 10-8 win in that round, and I still feel confident giving Grasso the 10-8 in the final.
Okay.
Obviously now they're going to have an immediate rematch.
Yeah.
Do you think that is the right choice?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm totally down for
How
it.
do you feel? I know there's been a debate lately about champions getting an immediate rematch where when there's a big pool of fighters that maybe that's not exactly the fairest choice. Have you seen anything about that controversy?
Yeah, I think the issue probably with that is we've had some champs who are so dominant, like Izzy and Shevchenko, Amanda Nunes. They have a long reign, and I think fans kind of get tired of seeing that.
Okay.
So they do want to kind of, like you said, see like a tournament style. Like, let's get maybe the next few contenders to battle it out.
It is interesting that like you do see where like Izzy or Valentina. There's these people that they're kind of the underdog for a while, and then when they become the champion, we love it. And then the longer they stay the champion, the more that we don't. The more they're like, oh, we want these people to lose. There is a weird thing as a fan that people do that. I don't know why that is, but I don't know how much I'm a fan of the immediate rematch, but I do understand that that this probably with a round like this, you can go to a Grasso Shevchenko 3.
Yeah. Again, I want to kind of emphasize a couple things. We watched it in a unique environment that a judge does not watch.
Of course, 100%.
When you're watching it live ringside, doesn't matter if it's UFC or a regional show, it's completely different than watching it at home, watching it with your friends. I'm sure everyone listening probably has a unique score of their own.
Sure.
One that I wanted to point out was the Verdict. If you guys don't know what Verdict is, it's an app you can download. You can follow their Instagram, learn more about that. But essentially what it does is they keep a global scoring.
Sure.
So everyone who has the app in live time can judge, and they can put their 10-9 or their 10-8. So I just wanted to kind of go off of the scoring for the Verdict. So round 1 went to Shevchenko. Round 2, Grasso. Round 3 was Shevchenko. 10-9.
This is the majority. This is like all the people that do this, right?
Correct, yeah. And I don't know exactly how many people voted on this.
More than 100, probably.
It's probably in the thousands.
Yeah.
It's a pretty popular app. So round 3, I scored at 10-8. You scored at 10-8.
I also.
10-8. They scored at 10-9. So a majority of people are not seeing it as a 10-9, but they saw it as a clear 10. Or sorry, they don't see it as a 10-8, but they saw it as a clear 10-9. No one gave that round to Grasso. Round 4 also went to Shevchenko, and then round 5 went to Grasso. But again, that was a 10-9 round, as opposed to a 10-8 round.
It's interesting that,
and by the way, when you look at their final scoring on
Verdict,
it separates, right? It's 47.37 for Grasso, 47.67 for Shevchenko.
Wow.
So even with thousands of people debating, we have a .30 point difference on the scoring. So though they ultimately have a winner, which was Shevchenko, it is by the thinnest of margins that they've ever had.
It's interesting that Valentina Shevchenko and on both Sal D'Amato's and Mike Bell's scorecard, Valentina's winning on both of those cards until the last round, till the 5th round.
And I've had judges tell me, and it doesn't state it in the scoring criteria, but I've had judges tell me they consider the last round the most important round, and they want to, if they want, they can consider things that happen probably more detrimental in their scoring, which I don't agree with, because again, we're supposed to score round by round, treat each round like a separate fight. But again, in global rules, I do think they state that.
It's also unfair to say, like, if I wonder how much, if you're judging a 5-round fight and you know that you gave, like, look, Mike Bell's looking at this fight, right? Mm-hmm. And he knows going into the 5th round that it is 39 to 37. He knows it's 39 to 37 Valentina.
If he's keeping track, yeah.
I mean, in his head, he probably has a general idea that he has Valentina ahead.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? There's been a lot of controversy about him doing the 10-8. Obviously, Ange and I both gave it a 10-8. You gave that around a 10-9. What did Verdict do on that round? 10-9.
I believe it was 10-9. I'll double check
10-9.
right now. But yeah, the Verdict score is, take it as what you want, but I like going to it because it shows a large number of people scoring. A lot of controversy comes from judges, so it's nice to see what thousands of people's scores add up looks like. And again, we're looking at this as a very close fight, super close. Everyone saw it close.
All right.
I think they scored it a 10-9 majority of people.
Yeah. Final thoughts, Ange, you got anything for me?
Baby's first fight.
Yeah, baby's first fight. You did it.
That was pretty nice.
Yeah.
I think again, you scored it a draw. I scored it a draw.
You might be better than some judges we've met.
You have no fight experience. I have 20 years. So What does that
What
tell
does
you
that
about
say?
scoring
What does that say about
fights?
judging fights? You actually made this argument once when we were talking about point Muay Thai, is that you almost would prefer that your judges be exclusively, because you're the promoter. If you guys don't know about point Muay Thai, but you are the Florida IKF representative, and you put on a lot of point Muay Thai events. You said private, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, obviously, but you said one time to me that you almost preferred it when you were able to pick judges that weren't, like, I guess, are not super aware of, like, striking.
Yeah, so I like guys. I have a good amount of guys who train kickboxing and Muay Thai.
Sure.
But also I have a crew of my judges who are pretty green to it. They're exposed to it in their gym. They train it, but they never trained a kickboxing fighter. They've never trained a Muay Thai fighter. Their glass is pretty empty when it comes to Muay Thai.
So you feel like you can...
So I'm the one teaching them how to score, and point Muay Thai is scored on number of strikes, number of clean strikes. So all I have to teach them is what clean strikes look like, and that's it.
Yeah.
They don't have the bias of full contact fights, which is, focusing on knockdowns, focusing on damage, focusing on effective aggressiveness. Then the number of strikes, which we talked about, but they're only focused on number of strikes.
So do you think that today we made a case for why AI should judge all fights?
Oh, yeah.
100%, right?
So, again, they only use AI in PFL, and it's non-official. It's just like for the entertainment. But if you watch PFL fights, I think as a fan, the AI gets it right every time.
I think AI is going to put us out of business, is what you're saying.
I'm okay with some businesses being taken over by AI.
Fair. All right. Well, hey, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope that you found this informative. I hope that you watched along. Guys, if you found that to be awesome, if you scored it yourself, go ahead and put your score in the comments, and we can argue it in the comments. As always,
I'll give you free reign to make fun of my score.
Same.
I will probably argue, so be ready for that. I love talking, obviously.
Yeah.
So
Also, if you've ever judged a fight at a Walmart parking lot, you can go ahead and give us the details in the comments as well. Hey, guys, thank you guys so much. You have a beautiful day, and I hope you all keep training.